Message from a new world I'd never known. Something about it felt like it'd been waiting my whole life. Is this home? I can hear each sound calling my name, and I feel angels around when I start to sing, and suddenly it feels like half is the soul far away. Tell me, can you hear the symphony? Panic, panic, I can't help but think that it's meant to be, that I'm finally right where I'm supposed to. If I let you into the secret, would you listen? I can hear each sound calling my name, and I feel angels around when I start to sing, and suddenly it feels like half is the soul far away. Tell me, can you hear the symphony? Panic, panic, and before too long I found where I belong. I can hear it, I can hear it, oh, I can't stop the rush. Every note I touch, I can feel it saving me. Tell me, can you hear the symphony? Started as a whisper, message from a new world I'd never known. Something about it felt like it'd been waiting my whole life. Is this home? I can hear each sound calling my name, and I feel angels around when I start to sing, and meant to be that I'm finally right where I'm supposed to. If I let you into the secret, would you listen? I can hear each sound calling my name, and I feel angels around when I start to sing, and suddenly it feels like heaven's not so far away. Tell me, can you hear the symphony? Started as a whisper, message from a new world I'd never known. Something about it felt like it'd been waiting my whole life. Is this home? I can hear each sound calling my name, and I feel angels.
Just because I am
Coming in hot.
hungry doesn't mean you can berate me. Bro, you should have opened those up like 13 seconds ago. I know, I wanted to do it for our intro. Yeah, I wanted to do it for the live portion. Leave me alone.
I wanted to wait a little bit longer, but I've never seen someone take 20 minutes to open one bag of chips.
I did it on purpose.
It's usually crinkle, open. Like what you were like taking it out on a date and like trying to like.
Oh, what's this?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Okay. It's like you're on a phone call and you're trying to fucking tell somebody your call's breaking up. Like, oh, I can't fucking what?
Yeah, some MSR fan right now is just like really enjoying it. All right, so let's just jump into it. I want to start off today, guys. I just want to give a shout out to TSR and to the TSR convention that's coming up in March. It's going to be between March 24 and 27th next year in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. It's going to be located at the Dungeon Hobby Shop Museum. Now, it starts at 9 a.m. and it ends 9:30 p.m. except for the 27th. It's going to actually end around 5:30 p.m. And you know
it's 5 p.m.
Oh, it's 5 p.m. Gotcha. They've been pretty cool. So as far as the whole TSR thing goes, we reached out to them recently, and I wanted to explain to them, big fans, and we just hate to see that, they're just getting dogpiled by the mob, and by the freaking mob on Twitter. Just anybody who just doesn't like them is what it turns into. Hell, I was doing so much research prior to even coming on. I learned a lot of stuff I did not know about, and I mean, let me just say, I learned a lot of stuff I didn't know, and I was like, they're really getting a bad rap here. Like,
I'm sorry, I'm taking a bite of my sandwich.
Do what you have to do, man. I know you just got done on a freaking, 4-hour drive, right? From Georgia to Bama.
Anyways, despite my taking the bite of a sandwich, it has been some crazy shit going on between TSR and other concerned parties, let's say.
Good phrasing.
Let's just not stir the shit pot.
Yeah.
But it's very clear what's going on between the concerned party and TSR.
Oh yeah.
Is without, like I said, without really calling any names or without exposing anybody, it's very much a cancel culture.
That's exactly what it is. And
go ahead.
Yeah, I don't support anything like that. I think if you want to play D&D, if you want to play AD&D, if you want to play 5th edition, if you want to play with some sticks on a table and call them miniatures, if you want to read a book, I don't care what you do. You should have that right, that option to do what you want without people saying if it's not what they like, then it's wrong. I hate that. It's idiotic. It's like the most un-American thing I've ever heard.
It's very much like, obviously, like, we know TSR's their like background, or not background, their motto, and it's even in a lot of these guys is like, I don't want to say like resume, but their it's just their motto.
Yeah.
Is play the way you want to. Like, once it's out of their hands and it's in our hands, you play how you want. TSR doesn't have a agenda. They don't have you have to play a certain way, or you can't play this way because we don't like the type of people you are. There's none of that. It's, we make the games and then you play them how you want to, which is how it should be across the board.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know they have. Hang on a second here. Oh my God, these ads! Need to do like an ad blocker on my computer, man. This is irritating beyond belief.
We gotta get you some ad block.
You need to. Y'all been trying to do it for a while now, and I'm so hard headed. But
I don't like ad block. I think ad block in and of itself is a generally selfish act, depending if you're not going to specific websites that destroy you with ads.
All right, listen here, Crypt Keeper.
I use it for YouTube only, and if you think that's not good, you're feeling way too righteous about all the ads that are also unskippable and generally annoying and repetitive that you get on YouTube. Fuck them.
Despite the fact that they're also targeted ads.
Not to mention, you can also turn off ad blocker for certain instances that you're watching a video. You can just turn it off.
yeah,
Using it for specific sites, like, I don't know what YouTube is, but that, I'm sure that's fine. But
Yeah.
just using it everywhere you go all the time just really hurts the market, I do believe. Especially with the massive amounts of people that do use it. I pay for YouTube. I haven't seen an ad in 6 years.
whoa,
And it's like $5 a month. It's easy.
You know what's cool about that? $0 a month, 0 ads.
Here's the thing as well. Don't rely on ads to pay your bills.
yeah,
What do you mean?
Don't rely on ads to pay your bills. If you are a good enough,
product,
you can manage your money well, and if you are good enough to, I don't say good enough, but popular enough to justify having to pay people for whatever website, domain, whatever you're doing, then you should do it that way, rather than being greedy and saying, oh, this ad is paying us thousands of dollars just to have a little banner on our website. We should do it.
yeah,
I get it's extra money, and don't get me wrong, ads the little banners and stuff like that, those are totally fine. But ads on videos that are a minute long, and it's sometimes minute long videos are unskippable, or a minute long ads are unskippable. you can kiss my ass.
I agree. That's ridiculous. Like I'll even say like the other day I watched a video. It was one of those shorts. It was maybe like 30 seconds long, and the ads were longer than the god dang video. And I was like, this is dumb. Well, so this is one thing I wanted to say. So TSR, one of their philosophies that they post and they repeat constantly is once a product we publish changes from our hands to yours, it's your game to play as you wish. And I mean, that right there is, I mean, some of the stuff I was reading, people were just trying to constantly talk down to them. And I was like, I mean, they say that repeatedly. It's one of the most.
Play as you wish.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but play as you wish, that was the thing I was trying to get or say. That was their motto.
Yeah, I love that. That's how it should be. That's how gaming should be. Because if someone makes a product, you should do what you will with it. And no one should tell you you're doing it wrong.
If it's not illegal, I mean, you can buy a rope and use it for legal means, but as soon as you start tying people up against their will, then it's kind of a problem.
Then it's a little concerning.
Yeah. Well, I know that was one of the things we wanted to talk about, and I want to give that shout out there to TSR. They've been really cool. The communication that we had, kind of unique. I wasn't expecting that. But is what it is. Love it. Love to see it. Now, Zach, you've been excited about some of these games coming out, and you've talked about what your thoughts are on the new Call of Duty game, man. I haven't seen too much about it.
Vanguard?
Yeah, Vanguard. So I don't want to harp too much necessarily on Vanguard itself. I'm just going to go ahead and just say this harps on a topic we recorded in episode 1 where it's games that aren't good on release. And Vanguard, in its own right, is good. Don't get me wrong. But it hasn't done much to break away from the standard Call of Duty mold. Despite that as well, the game balance is just whack. There's no balance whatsoever. And traditionally with COD games, that tends to be the fact very early on that there is just no balance among the weapons and multiplayer and stuff like that. And it stays that way for a good little while. And I'm going to quote the man, the myth, the legend. It's not Russian Badger, but it's one of his friends. I believe it was Goose. For the first, couple months of, God, I don't even remember which COD it was now because there's so many. It was 2 years ago. There was a pistol. It was a revolver.
Oh, God, not that one.
Yes, it was a revolver that if you loaded a certain ammo type into it, which were the snake shot rounds, which snake shot rounds within their own right are little flecks of not paper, but pepper. Little itty-bitty flecks of just this pepper shit that is used to kill snakes would just dominate in multiplayer. There was no, obviously with these kinds of games, realism is secondary.
Yeah.
But the fact you would walk up to somebody, shoot them with a revolver with flecks of pepper in them, the game balance was definitely off, and it was that way for a long, long time. The same thing goes for the double barrel shotty with slug rounds in it, where you could literally one shot kill people all the way across the map if you had a clear sight line.
Jesus.
So game balance, which is what I'm harping on here, it's not necessarily just Vanguard. There are other games that are this way, and Destiny 2 is one of them, and I play Destiny 2 a good bit. Game balance seems to be a tough thing for game developers to get the hang of nowadays, which again, this harps back to the conversation of finishing or releasing unfinished products, where you do a beta for a week. A week's not enough time to figure out all of the information you need to balance a game. You need a lot of playtesting. You need a lot of plenty of time to test this stuff. Mm-hmm. Going to D&D, they release Unearthed Arcana every 2 weeks now, and they offer playtesting. And they have surveys after these playtesting phases are done, and they're like, what do you think about these classes? And they go through and ask a bunch of questions, and from there they balance it out. If you remember when Artificer was first released as Unearthed Arcana, that was an entirely new class, and it as a class in its playtest phase was absolutely broken. And now the Artificer we have fits very well into the classes as a whole, but it required months of playtesting. Now, obviously, D&D isn't a video game, but you see what I'm getting at here.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and actually, when you want to talk about that, I think there was a game, Caleb. It was a tabletop. What was it, Cap? It was a Fallout, wasn't it? Tabletop?
Yeah, he tried doing the Fallout a variant of 5e.
Yeah.
It was a disaster.
Oh, man.
He was doing. It was, what was it? It was Fallout Miami, wasn't it?
Well,
fairly sure.
Yeah. So the thing that came out that he attempted to do was, I think Caleb attempted to host a game of Fallout, the new tabletop version of Fallout with kind of the D&D style and RPG features, but the skills and the point system were Fallout. And he said they did not mesh well at all. He said it made it a nightmare. He said it made it just a nightmare to play. And I said, really? Coming from him, because, he's kind of, he can take stuff on a chin pretty well. So hearing him say that it was a nightmare, I was like, it must have been pretty bad if he's like, oh, dude, it was terrible. So I immediately turned me off to that. And I know I want to look into it a little bit more to see what he was talking about and see just the mechanics that he was getting at. That's definitely something I want to check out. Another thing, we have some new games coming out. One of them being what it's coming out in a couple days. What was it?
Oh, it was Battlefield 2042.
That's it. And we have Battlefield coming out, and we have Elden Ring coming out. Next year? Early next year? I believe it is, isn't it? Early next year. February 25th. Yeah, it comes out February 25th.
For certain people, they're already allowed to play it just because they get it early.
Yeah.
It's definitely like a Dark Souls in a way, but it's open world apparently.
Yeah, that's not Dark Souls in a way. It's literally Dark Souls. Have you seen it?
Oh, it looks beautiful.
Yeah, that's why I said it's Dark Souls in a way. It's not true Dark Souls in the sense that it's Dark Souls, but it's more.
It's Dark Souls, and it's not Dark Souls in namesake only. I would be willing to say, while it's got more content, everything is structured pretty much the exact same.
Yeah, it's like Dark Souls, but with more.
So, I've also seen people do the gameplay, and they talk about it's a bit more forgiving with death. So, there's spawn points now that are usually placed pretty close to because it's so open, they now have these, shrines where you can respawn near these bosses. So when you die, you don't have to cross the entire goddamn map to just die again. So they're pretty forgiving now, apparently, with that, because you can pick where you want to respawn. And I'm like, that's a cool idea, because you die so much in Dark Souls game, in any Souls game. You that's part of the game, is learning that you're going to die plenty of times. Unless you're like some of these people I watch who do a deathless run, and I'm like, that's nasty. I'm like, that man is inhuman. The skill.
Have you seen? It was I don't even remember who did it, but I know I saw this video of somebody who they beat a Dark Souls boss through giving voice commands. Like they had their inputs were voice commanded, and they oh god, I don't even know how to describe it. It was just all of their inputs were voice commanded, and so they, like, if they needed to dodge or roll, they would go roll, and so they would roll forward, and they're like, but they assigned, rather than saying roll, they just did random words. So they were just like, "Poo pee pee caca," and it would attack. It was hilarious because they're shouting all of these words, but they're also fighting a Dark Souls boss, and they're having to dodge and attack and block and do all of using the potion to heal, and it was genuinely funny. So I personally am not a fan of Dark Souls. I'm a very ragey gamer when it comes to those kinds of games, and if I get to the point where I'm just dying multiple times, I'm going to break my hand on my desk.
Yes.
But watching other people play it and do these things like I said, beating a Dark Souls boss with voice commands, or beating a Dark Souls boss while using the Xbox 360 pedals and steering wheel inputs.
That's wonderful. I love that. That's so cool.
Or just watching people just in general play Dark Souls. It's hilarious because I don't have to experience that rage. I let other people do it for me.
So Lane, what game are you looking forward to coming out? What are you keeping your eye on right now?
Really and truly,
Minecraft 2.
There's not one particular game that I'm really looking forward to, because there hasn't really been a release or an announcement of a game that I am super duper excited for. I mainly just wait and see how the game does before I get excited about it in any capacity. That's why I don't pre-order games. If there's hype about a game, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to lull myself into that false sense of security that it's going to be good.
Yeah.
Which is further reinforced by how, Fallout 76 was.
Oh my god.
That just further confirmed that I was going about it the right way.
I thought we all agreed. We just don't talk about that thing, man. I thought that was like an agreed thing.
That thing.
We just talked about
it. Abomination.
Yeah, I have flashbacks.
Thing... The one thing I would say is, still in the back of my mind would have to be probably the further mods or essentially full games that are coming out that are based off of Fallout New Vegas,
Oh yeah.
Stuff like that.
Speaking of mods.
I was gonna. Before we do that, I think I want to harp on one mod in particular that Lane is speaking about that I know he is kind of excited about.
Okay.
It's Fallout 4 New Vegas. It's a New Vegas mod, or a Fallout 4 mod, that creates the New Vegas story and the gameplay in Fallout 4's engine.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. So
who's making it?
Gunplay is just I don't even know the name of the mod developer. Hold on, you know what? I'll find it for you.
Yeah, I would love to have that. Yeah, if you can find that, but mods right now, games or mods that do something like that pretty much make a game. A good example is the BattleTech series, and BattleTech when it dropped, the campaign itself, it was beautiful, it was fun, but what really made that game was Rogue Tech, and I've had Jeff telling me I need to get on it. He's being one of the four masters of BattleTech and Mech Warriors, and me being a huge fan of it, and I was like, you know what, finally, and you remember I buckled down and bought it, and I've been enjoying it so much, and the Rogue Tech flushes it out all the way and adds all these mechs and the unseen mechs that came from their lawsuit. I mean, it's just, there's so much to it that it adds just thousands of hours of pretty much endless play.
So I don't mean to interrupt, but
go for it.
The team for the Fallout New Vegas or Fallout 4 New Vegas, they don't really have anything. They have a Reddit, but they also have a Twitter, which is @project_F4NV. The F4NV being capitalized. And they have an update as early as 2 weeks ago, well, about 3 weeks ago, on how they're doing and progressing with certain new features that they're having to do as far as skins and this, that, and the other. So
if you want,
they're still doing good. I think they've actually even been given the go ahead by Bethesda themselves.
Oh, sweet.
Even after Microsoft has bought Bethesda, I think they still have the go ahead.
So if you want, you can actually send me that. I want that link to it, and I would love to. Actually, I'll put it probably in the description as well.
I'll give it to you after we're done with the podcast, so I don't interrupt the flow. I do want to know, Cap, Crypt Keeper.
Yes.
What games are you looking forward to coming out soon?
Well, the one that pops right off my head, the new Mass Effect. Mass Effect is my favorite game franchise, so I've been really excited to know what's coming.
A new Mass Effect game?
Yeah.
Yep, Mass Effect 4.
Interesting.
Yeah. Also, don't forget, there's a bunch of games that are coming out next year.
A slew.
So there's anybody who's interested in Harry Potter.
Your
Hogwarts
boy.
Legacy's coming out.
I can't wait. I can't wait. The wife, Caitlin, I got her into Harry Potter. Can y'all believe that she'd never seen Harry Potter? Never.
That kind of baffles me, actually.
Doesn't it?
That Caitlin would be interested in Harry Plopper.
Yeah, well, once I got her and she watched Sorcerer's Stone, she binged it all. I had to buy every movie for her. I mean, I told you it was good. I told you it was good. And I said, but you got to read the books. And she's like, no, I'm good with the movies. But I was like, oh, but books is so much better. And she's like,
Wow.
she's like, I'm good. She's like, I'm good with the movies. And I'm like, but the movies, they're leaving out so much stuff in these movies, and they really do. They leave out a lot. But I give it credit. The movies are badass. I love them too. I didn't sweat anything. I had to go buy all that, spend lots of money on some movies. But
Drake, I'm gonna be a dick. I'm gonna be a dick and give Caitlin the complete Harry Potter book series to her for Christmas.
that she'll never
You know
read.
what's funny about all that?
You're gonna.
I have watched Harry Potter an obscene amount of times, each movie religiously for many years, right? I have them in a collection.
Yeah.
I had the books in a collection set as well that matched up. They had art on them, and the spines lined up to form art as well when you put them into this little box that also had art on it.
Nice.
I gave it to a girlfriend at the time because I don't really read, and it's gone. But that's neither here nor there.
Blasphemous.
I still prefer movies over books, and that's not because I don't think that the books aren't good. I just prefer visual stimulation over reading.
Yeah, we're always gonna have that different.
But
You know, that's always gonna be the thing about me.
yeah, that's
Collapse.
just the thing about it. I prefer visual stimulation over reading. It's just my thing. But I will say and admit, the books, even though I have not read all of them, I've read a couple, are still going to be better as far as information of the world goes.
You know, I think might be the forerunner of that. There's two books that come to mind when you tell me a book is better than the movie. Two books. I know y'all know one of them. I don't know if y'all know the other.
Oh, I know which one you're gonna say. You're gonna say Ready Player One.
Okay, yeah. Now that you say that, I'm thinking three. Yes, Ready Player One. I was not thinking that. No, the first two that came to my mind was Aragon
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
and Inkheart.
Yes. Inkheart, the books are so much better.
They're great.
I get
Inkheart,
heated about
Inkspell,
that.
and Ink Death were amazing, and I have them all in
They're so-
hardback, special edition at the house.
Wait, Drake.
Yeah.
Wait, you have all three of them?
Yeah, I have them all, man. I bought them when they came out. Like when they were coming out, I just stumbled across Inkheart, right? And I fell in love with it.
I'm gonna need to borrow them bitches.
I don't know, man. You'll have to come to the library. You'll have to rent it I'll have to get you a library card for my
Here's
house.
the thing is I read Inkheart when I was in elementary school, and obviously I went to our library and was like, hey, do you have Inkspell? Because I know that's the next one.
Uh-huh.
And the librarian showed me Inkspell, so I read through it, and then I went and asked if they had Ink Death, and she said no, but we're getting it. And I'm like, okay, and I would go every day and ask, has it come in yet? Has it come in yet? And that book never came in, and so I haven't read Ink Death.
It was
and I'm
great.
still pissed about it to this day.
It was great. It was great. And one thing you could really tell about Funk, however you say her name, is when she was writing it, you could tell how much joy and pleasure she got out of writing, because every book progressively got bigger.
I don't care what anybody says. Dustfinger is my boy. That is the best character of.
That was a
series.
good character, and they did not do him justice. Like, the movies didn't do anybody justice in that entire thing. Same thing
Really
with
didn't.
Aragon. The books were so much better. But that's what happens when you have transformation of media. You have it coming from a book to become a movie. It was never meant to be a movie. It was a book. You
You
get what I'm
have to
saying?
sacrifice certain design elements, or not design elements, but descriptive elements of the book that can be in a book because it can take you more than an hour and a half, 2 hours to read it,
Yeah.
to fit into an hour and a half, 2 hour movie.
Yeah. I mean, I could rant on this all day, but let me do a shameless plug here for my channel. Come watch my channel if you want to hear me talk about books at Drake Files F. I know the other thing that we want to talk about, guys, was some mods, though.
Wait, what were you going to say, Kat?
I was going to continue on the video game thing because I literally mentioned one and you guys went insane.
Okay, yeah, continue, sorry.
Yeah, you're right. We
I'm
did, didn't
passionate
we?
about e-card.
Yeah.
The next game that's coming out next year, I know you're excited for this one, Zach, as I am. Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga.
Yes. Oh, dude, I'm so ready. I'm
very
just
excited for those. I loved those when I was younger, and I cannot wait for them now.
playing them on the PS2 with the memory cards and corrupted data. Just it brings back all of that nostalgia, and it's all just remade, and it's all 9 episodes plus Solo and Rogue One coming as DLC later down the pipeline. So I am excited for that. I also want to chime in. I don't mean to interrupt you again, Cap, but I also want to chime in about a game we recently discovered, Cap, which was from a judge. That was, or not judge. It was from Booze Bandit.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I want to go ahead and mention that game. Solasta or Solasta, I don't know how that's pronounced.
I think it's Celesta.
Celesta. That looks really, really, really fun. As far as like D&D RPG or PC D&D RPGs go, like turn-based RPGs and stuff like that.
Yeah, with the added multiplayer they're going to be putting in, I think that's going to be something to very quickly rival Tailspire.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say though, according to a couple other people, initially it wasn't in their plan or budget whenever it was what's the word? Not released, but it was bankrolled by the Kickstarter. There we go. It wasn't in their initial plans or budget to add multiplayer when it was kickstarted. So I know they want to add that. It has been said that they do want to add the multiplayer to that. But I am holding out hope for it. But I hear soon I'm actually going to buy that game because according to what Booze has said, and Drake, you get a kick out of this too, I think.
Yeah.
I'm going to read verbatim what he says.
Okay.
From what I've seen, they're popping out major updates every month, and it is on the roadmap for the next update, which he's referring to multiplayer. There's currently no shortage of game to keep you busy, though. 3 campaigns, each unique and about 40 to 80 hours long.
Ooh. Damn.
So it has a lot of content there. They just released the Barbarian and the Druid DLC. So they're also adding the proper classes in and whatnot. So
was it a DLC or an update?
It may have been an update, but Judge quoted it as being a DLC. So very excited about that, going along with the same thing as
You say Judge or Booze Bandit?
Both of them were harping on it.
Okay.
How Celesta was fantastic, and 3 campaigns, each about 40 to 80 hours long. So very, very intrigued by that, which then kind of brings us to another topic, which I'm excited to see potentially get involved with Celesta, is modding.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say real quick, Tailspire.
Mm-hmm.
People who don't know what that is, Tailspire is pretty much something that people can come together and they can make it pretty much a tabletop game, right? It's for GMs and players. Am I correct?
Go ahead, Cap. I'll let you describe it.
Yeah, so Tailspire is a 3D tabletop simulator So it's not specifically for D&D. It actually doesn't even really have D&D features built into it, although the look of it is very D&D. So you can build these really detailed 3D maze-like, very nice environments with custom lighting. They've got little animations. Currently it's pretty bare bones, but it's really nice. And they're updating it continually.
There is a roadmap out for it that is explaining what they plan to release and what's in the works, what is currently being updated, that kind of deal.
Yeah.
It is going. I think it's primarily going to be based around a D20 system, and according to what Kappa said in the past, I don't know if they've changed their minds on this. They are going to be partnering with, what was it, Hero Forge, Cap?
No, I wasn't sure about that at the time. They said officially they could not.
Okay, well, potentially, this kind of goes into the modding thing, where that would become a very large part of some of the games we've talked about: BattleTech, Tailspire, Celesta, and I mean, we might as well go ahead and say it, which is basically probably the biggest and most modded game is Skyrim.
To this day.
Even to this day. I mean, you look at them releasing their 10th anniversary, where they are including how many mods? Wasn't it like 500 mods they're including in the 10th anniversary version that they have integrated just into the game. So modding has become a very big part of the video game scene.
Yeah.
And it has outright saved some games.
I've got to say, BattleTech is right there with it, man. BattleTech. If it wasn't for Rogue Tech, that massive mod, it wouldn't be what it is. It would not be as tight-knit, as beautiful and well-crafted and polished as it is. It would not be what it is now.
Same thing with 7 Days to Die. I mean, we're all a big fan of 7 Days to Die.
God,
7 Days to Die in its own right is great.
Great game.
But with mods, oh, good lord. And I do want to go ahead and throw this out there that this topic was kind of brought on when we were talking to Jeff. We were talking about it, and that was his quote: is mods have saved some video games.
Mm-hmm.
And I do want to say I'm very appreciative. If we ever have a fan base and there are modders out there, I'm very appreciative of the work you do, because you can add some very, very funny or very serious or very intriguing aspects to games that are already out there. And I think if game companies are smart, they would start hiring modders for their games.
Mm-hmm.
In all actuality. Because right now, most of the time modders are relying on donations, like Patreon, Kickstarter, stuff like that.
Yeah.
If game developers were smart, in addition to them releasing DLCs, they would hire modders for their game, because these modders are getting paid, and these developers and these games are getting extra content added onto them through these mods.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the future I hope to see with modders, is being able to be bankrolled and paid by these development companies for these games to just add that content, and it's free content for the people who own the game. And it gives all more to the reason to purchase the game for these mods. So that's more income and revenue for the game development company, which then it's just a cycle. They pay the modders, then more people buy the games, and I'm very excited if that becomes the quota.
Mm-hmm.
I think is the right word for that when it comes to game development.
Yeah, I do agree. I enjoy a good mod, man. I've played. I've played enough games in my life that I can tell you I've played some broken messes that really need a mod group behind them. While we're on the topic of games and upcoming games, the PS5 and the new Xbox and all these and this whole thing going on with the chips and the shortage. This is outrageous. I just want to say this right now because it's something I've been venting about for a while. But for real, there's just like a handful of cats out there who really have these things. Still, to this day. And the thing is PS5 celebrated here recently their 1-year anniversary release of their console. So I was doing a little bit of research, and GameStop did an article. I thought I want to talk about this because it's kind of fun to really look at the top 10 most played PS5 games so far. And this is an article on GameStop, and it's written by Eddie. I think it's Makuch, Makuch. Makuch. I guess I'm saying that right. So the top one. Can anybody make a guess what the number one game is right now?
Call of Duty. Warzone. In particular, Warzone.
Cap, what'd you say?
Minecraft.
Lane, what you got?
Lane.
What you got, man?
For the PS5?
PS5, what do you think the number one most played game is right now?
It would have to be a multiplayer game, honestly.
Okay. What comes to mind? Well,
of any variety, because all I can say really is that it's probably a multiplayer game or a game that has multiplayer capability. But, I'd have to say one of the few games I played that was on the PS4 that I thoroughly enjoyed was God of War, but I don't think that's going to be one of the top ones when you have games that are like multiplayer, like Call of Duty, that people they play it like a ton, and it has infinite replayability essentially because every single match is a new experience.
Yeah, so I want to say y'all are wrong. But you're close. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War is actually second on the list. Number one, apparently, is Fortnite. Now,
that makes sense.
That would have been my second guess.
Yeah, can't believe Fortnite is still alive and kicking like it is, man. That blows my mind. But hey, I mean, it's not my cup of tea, but I mean, like I said before, everyone has a right to play whatever they want to play. Do it.
It's free and people have fun with it, so let them do whatever they want, I suppose.
I would say as well, with it being a free game, and with it primarily being advertised towards, I wouldn't say kids, but like kids to like teenagers, where
oh come on, man, it's just advertised. It's just advertised to people who like those bright colors.
Well, it's not even that. It's for these people who primarily, I'm saying this as a primary audience. They go to school, they come home, they don't really have anything else to do, so they hop on Fortnite. And they've got all the time in the world because it's like, oh, once you're done with school, you just play until the next day, and then you go to school, come home, play till the next day. So they have a lot of time on their hands, whereas most of the time adults, with us having so much to do between work, doing chores, just going places and doing things, grocery shopping, what have you.
College even.
In college as well, because college eats up so much more time than just normal high school does.
Yeah.
You don't have as much time to dedicate to these games, so the games that they do play are obviously not going to be higher up on that list as the most played games as far as hours played goes, because it's being overtaken by a large portion of people who have a lot more free time on their hands.
That's very true. Now, what do y'all think the third and fourth on this list is?
Probably Demon Souls.
Let's see. For PS5, shit. I would say probably number 5 would be God of War, because God of War is an extremely popular game.
I'll go ahead and say this right now. God of War is not even on the list.
Really?
Yeah, and this is the official list that was put out from Sony.
Oh. Apex Legends.
No, man. All right, so the
Okay.
third and fourth is actually FIFA 21 and NBA 2021.
What the hell?
Exactly my point.
That makes sense.
What?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. There's a specific group of people who very adamantly love that game.
Oh, you must be talking about Adam and his people.
Oh wow! Way to culturally appropriate, Drake.
Oh, whatever.
But that doesn't make sense to me, is because, like, while yeah, they have a very dedicated fan base, I wouldn't expect those to be third and fourth,
Me
and
neither.
Apex
That blows my
and God of
mind.
War not even being on the list.
Not even on the list, man. Not even on the list. And this is from Sony.
Did they even release God of War for the new PlayStation?
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure.
Yeah, I think they did.
Hold on, I'll tell you real quick.
God of War, that was the next one on my personal list. We stopped at 2.
So, I will say this, though. I'm happy to see these next two on the list at least, but it's Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Destiny 2.
Valhalla is actually really good.
God of War Ragnarok is on PS5, but I don't know if God of War was on PS5. Let me check here real quick. No, it is only on PS4. You are correct, Cap.
Yeah,
So that makes sense.
So there's no way it could be on this list.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I thought, but I could swear Apex should be on that list.
Well, I guess Fortnite's, just stomped it into the ground.
Yeah,
But-
fork knife.
Fork knife. Yeah, I have not played Valhalla, Lane, but I think, didn't you say you bought it for your girlfriend, or you bought it for yourself or something, didn't you?
It was for both of us, but it was for the Xbox One, and so I pretty much only play it whenever she's over because she really likes the Assassin's Creed games. And I haven't played like too much of it, but it's actually very clean and it's very well done.
Apex Legends is not on PS5 either, so that would explain why it's not on there.
There we go. That's your reason behind it.
Which makes sense.
So we can just assume if it's a good game, probably not on PS5. I'm kidding, but it's a shame to see the lineup on PS5 just being as small as it is. And you got to think, even with all these people, buying out the PS5s, and then they're trying to oversell them and all this stuff. Even with this going on, the games probably are not selling like they hoped they were.
Well,
Because
I was
no
going
one's
to ask
buying
this
them.
question actually, and I want to ask you guys on how you feel about it. Do you think, and this is just a theory, I don't know if this is an actual thing, but do you think that some game development companies are holding on to some major releases because people don't have PS5s yet or Xbox Series X yet?
Absolutely.
Absolutely be willing to believe that.
Well, I think it would be a combination of them holding on to it, but also using the time that they have to further improve upon it if they're proactive as the company that's making the game or as a team of developers.
Now, do you think that's a good or a bad thing?
I think they're being smart. I think if they drop a game while no one can get it, while it's hot, and let's say that Horizon Zero Dawn, the new one coming out, let's say they didn't announce it because everything's going on. And they said, you know what, let's announce it when more people have PS5 and they'll be excited. Now they just got their PS5, this big title's just dropped, and just like with a movie, if you're showing trailers all month long, but the issue is all the theaters are closed and there's no way to see this movie, it's not on any streaming site, by the time they're actually able to watch it, they're going to be like, oh yeah, that is a movie, isn't it?
Yeah.
I also feel like if they're doing that, then it honestly seems really simple to come up with that idea, especially if your job is, part of the marketing aspect of a company like that. Your job is to just be like, people buy game more when more people have systems who play game on. Makes sense, right?
I agree with Drake that it is a good thing, and I agree with Lane's thought on it, where they can use that time to develop it more. I think it is a very smart move if they are holding on to these announcements for some major titles until more of these systems are in the hands of players, and then it's like, okay, we've had this extra year or however long it takes for these systems to be released more often. We've been holding on to this title for this year and however many months till more people have these systems. Here is our announcement for this game, and we've had this extra time to actually work on it and improve upon it. Because I think that has caused some games to kind of fall flat because they released them a little too early. They were too quick on the draw, and a lot of these systems aren't in the hands of people. But I think as well, announcing games either now or within the next couple months into the future is a very smart idea, But it's almost a roll of the dice because we never know when this issue is going to be fixed.
Yeah.
And it could be a whole nother year and it still isn't fixed. We don't know.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. But so real quick, the rest of this list, I'm just gonna knock them out. So 7, 8, 9, and 10. 7, MLB The Show 21. Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, which I see that. I can't believe. Yeah, I can't believe Demon Souls is number 9. I thought it would be higher. And then you have NBA 2K22. So on this list, there's 2 NBA titles, which is wacky to me.
Well, you got to think as well, like Captain was saying, there's a very dedicated fan base, and it is one of the few games that is released on PS5.
Yeah, one of the very few.
I actually want to know how many titles have been released for PS5. Here is the list of PlayStation 5 games. Right now, there are currently 441 games on this list. Some of these are unreleased, and some of these have release dates. So not everything is currently out right now.
Yeah.
So let's actually filter this to where they have been released and figure out how many there are. So we are in November right now. It is November. So the last game to have come out in North America was Grand Theft Auto: The Trilogy, the definitive edition, which came out November 11th.
Which is a shit show, by the way.
Is it really?
It is.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
I've seen even like Ricky Berwick. Thank you. Do a little video on it. It was pretty funny. Yeah, I've seen.
That's cool.
Yeah, he's a good guy. It's just I hate to see like all this crappy remasters, man. Breaks my heart.
There is something I wanted to talk about that I just found out while I was looking at this list. Zach, do you know about the new Lord of the Rings game that's coming out?
Hold on.
Say what? Lord of the Rings?
So right now there are currently I would say about 200 games that are currently released for PS5. But no, new Lord of the Rings game announced.
Apparently it's been announced for a little over a year. It's called Lord of the Rings Gollum. And you play as Gollum going through fucking Mordor.
Yes, I do know about it.
Oh my god.
I think that looks like it could be fun. But I'm a big Gollum fan.
I can imagine it being something similar to let's see here. Let me see if I can find this game here.
Yeah, releases fall of 2022.
Is it okay? Yeah, I can imagine it being. Are you guys familiar with the video game Styx, Master of Shadows?
I think I am.
Yes.
I think I am.
You play as a little goblin, and it's a roguelike game. Yeah. I can imagine Lord of the Rings Gollum being very similar to that.
I think they came out free on Xbox at one point.
Yeah, they gave it free on PS4 too. It's very fun.
Oh my god, I remember this game.
Yeah, they could be exactly. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if they're super.
Because imagining or knowing what Gollum is like in his history and whatnot, and he is very much a puppeteer from the shadows, kind of very manipulative kind of dude.
I wouldn't call him a puppeteer. I mean, he couldn't manipulate people to save his life.
He could, but it wasn't Gollum that was doing it. It was Smeagol.
Smeagol, polluted by the ring, turning into Gollum. Yeah. So you know what's really funny? As much as I love Lord of the Rings and that lore, I would always get Smeagol and Gollum kind of confused until the episode of The Office where Dwight has to like correct somebody. I think it was like Dwight corrects someone and like straightens it out and says, Smeagol was such and such. God, I can't remember what episode it was, but ever since then, whenever somebody says that always plays in my mind, and I'm like, I'll forever now know the difference.
So Smeagol if you guys don't know, so Smeagol obviously is the bad dude, but he is also Gollum's. That's his name. That's who he was before he was corrupted by the ring, which then he took on the name of Gollum because of the noise he would make. I mean, he does it in the movies. He's coughing, but it's phlegmy.
Yep.
So he took up that name, and that's what he was colloquially recognized as being, was Gollum. But his true name, when he was I think he was part of the Water Folk. His name was. They're very similar to hobbits, but they're not hobbits. But his original name was Smeagol. But Smeagol was the one who was corrupted by the ring, and that is the pretty much evil or corrupted side of his mind.
Yeah.
He's a river folk, by the way. And he
River folk.
around Gladden Fields.
I said water folk, but river folk. Thank you for the correction.
Waterfolk. He is from the water. Yeah.
Lord of the Rings has an insane lore around it that I never knew for the longest time.
I gotta tell you, man, like, there are some, like, slapping channels of content creators who break down the lore, and I've spent hours just listening to it, like, binging lore on Lord of the Rings, because it's just so intricate.
When you started that, I thought you were going to talk about, like, actual slap championship, like, channels.
Oh, I love that, too. Oh, yeah, I love that. I love watching that stuff, man. Slap Mountain is my stuff.
So, talking about slap championships, right? I was coming back from the arm wrestling competition in Atlanta, and let me tell you, that was really, really fun. Like, you're like, oh, arm wrestling, it's like blah, 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 blah. No, these boys, like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's very exciting.
They power up.
Actually, like, technique. And, there was a dude, I don't even remember his title, and I don't want to mess it up, but he is a title, like, belt holder, and this dude, he chalked up and he would slap the shit out of his face and hype himself up, and I'm like, that motherfucker's crazy, and he sure shit he won.
I'm telling you, man.
It was like, I think it was best out of 5.
Yeah, your boy went saying. Yeah, speaking of, how did your brother Kirby do at the championship?
So, according to Dad and Crystal, he always seems to do better when we're not there. So, unfortunately, it was a double elimination tournament, and he lost both of his matches.
Shoot.
Both of his first matches. But I know Kirby is strong as fuck. The only reason these guys are getting him, and this is how most people will do it, they are so quick on the draw, because what they do is they line their hands up, they get everything ready, and then they go, don't move, go. And it's quick, right?
Yep.
These dudes he was wrestling against, were so quick on the draw. As soon as they said go, it was immediate power behind it, just bam, and it was done.
Yeah.
He didn't even have a chance to even catch it. So that's the only reason he lost. And like I said, there are techniques to it, and you've got to be kind of good at everything in order to be, like, championship status.
Yeah, so in the gym, and, Kirby used to come to the gym, and that's where Stump showed him, because we had an arm wrestling table there. Because Stump, he competes, and, he actually competes on the circuit and stuff. So, he, the gym owner at the time actually bought a professional arm wrestling table just for him to just practice with people in the gym. And you remember Sean Geddick? Sean Geddick's a big dude, He held the Georgia bench state record for tested and all kinds of... very strong man. Stump put him on his ass. He almost broke Sean's arm. Oh,
yeah.
And just like you said, he said like that. He just slammed. That was it. It was done. And it's technique.
Because it's technique. Like, there are so many different techniques, and the way that you can position yourself, and there's a whole bunch of rules that you have to abide by, and then there are penalties and stuff like that. And but these boys, there's so much power and quickness. As soon as they say don't move, go, it's just a sheer I don't even know how to describe it other than it's not even a rush.
It's an explosion.
It's like a boulder. It's an explosion of power. Yeah, just immediate and with a quickness. And unless you're just as quick and just as strong, there's not really much you can do.
No, it's
arm wrestling isn't you start off and it's just go, and then you're fighting back to back to back to back to back. And in some scenarios, that is the case. And there were several matches like that where they were just in a deadlock in the middle. And there's some that would start losing and start winning again, and then losing and winning and losing. And it would just go back and forth for a solid 2 minutes. It was very intense and it was very cool. And let me tell you, too, because this tournament included a women's tournament, too.
Yeah.
There were bad bitches in there. They are strong as fuck.
Yeah, they really are. Some of them can snap my wrist, man. Next time I do the next strongman tournament I sign up for, I'm gonna invite you, Cap, and Lane. I'm gonna invite everybody to come. Yeah. And just because I keep telling you and Cap, both of y'all are like, heads taller than me, and I'm like, y'all could be monsters in strongman or even in powerlifting if you practice for it. And y'all literally built for the sport. Like, your body types are built for it. But of course, we all have our own goals and everything like that, and that's really what matter. But I would love for y'all to come and just see what it's about, like, in person, because it's a hell of a time.
I watched arm wrestling stuff before, especially with Devin Larratt. I think his name's Devin Larratt.
Yeah.
And I like arm wrestling as a sport. I really do. All the techniques and the strategies that are, included. Because
go ahead.
You have to be so close in strength, but being close in strength is just part of it, because if you're equal on strength, it all comes down to technique and strategy, which involves the hands, the elbow placement, the grip placement, your footing even plays a part in it. Like you can get under the table and brace against the legs of the table. There's so many things
wrap around it
that can play into winning an arm wrestling match that I don't think a large portion, if not like the vast majority of the population, truly understands. That it was like, oh, it's arm wrestling, but it's not just arm wrestling. There's a lot that goes into it at the professional level, or just at a competition level, even.
I would love to see them.
I want to say, there was a guy at this competition, and he was one of the refs, but he was also competing. 40 plus. I don't remember the exact number, but it was 40 plus world championship awards that this dude had, and he was competing, and watching him compete was immaculate. The dude, you could definitely tell he had a bit of muscle. He was a bit of an older guy too, not hugely, but he was a little bit older, and he set up his arm and he got his grip and everything, and the biggest motherfucker in that room was going up against him, and he put him down like it was nothing.
Yeah,
I mean, it was immaculate to watch that this dude could eat two of him.
You see it all the time, that technique and their skill. But I would love to see them do something with like gaming and like maybe arm wrestling, or like vice versa, like something like that. I would love to see them do some kind of physical gaming, like have two people play Smash while they're on a treadmill and see who wins. I don't know, but.
Just a fitness gaming channel.
Yeah, that'd be great to watch. I mean, I would love to see a tournament based like that. While the guy's struggling to breathe, at running a 4.2 like on a treadmill, and just getting their ass kicked by Kirby in Smash.
That would be pretty funny. Why is somebody riding down my street while just honking their horn?
I heard it. Yeah, I don't know, man.
I hear that.
Maybe they want your body, dude.
What? Listen, they're gonna have to fight for it. Anyways,
tell them to get in line.
So, I didn't mean to get it off topic or anything, but I just wanted to share that because that was a really cool experience. And the venue of this place was an ale house. So it was this really big, large ale house. It was a really, really cool venue.
Nice. Now, one thing I want to talk about with like the venues and stuff, man. I would love, and Cap wasn't with us when we were talking about this, but if we went up to Wisconsin, right? Well, we would love to go to this TSR con and show some support, show some love. But if we did go as a group, I would love to do a cast up there, guys. Grab some mics and just interview people going in and out, just talking to some people there or in the area. See what their thoughts are about everything.
I'm sorry, I got distracted. My mom messaged me because I sent her some pictures.
Did my mic drop?
No. I would absolutely love to do that. You just have some rando dude pass by, be like, "Hey, you come here, answer this question."
Pretty much. I was
Um,
actually on. There's a place here in Albany called it's called Cool Place. Have
mhm.
you heard about it?
Yes,
So
I have,
it's
but those two haven't.
yeah. So Lane Cap, what it pretty much is it's like you know trading cards, tabletop games, VR headsets, and a bar and a bunch of other stuff. It's a place to go hang out. The aesthetic is really nice. It's really cool. That soft lighting aesthetic too to everything. And it was pitched to me that I should go and do this. And I was, it's a really good idea. But go do that there, and also help promote with them because they're locally owned. They're locally owned. They started off in the mall, and if you know anything about Albany, the Albany Mall. People get shot and die there, all the time. By the way, this is not Albany, New York. Bear in mind, this is Albany, Georgia. Albany, Georgia, being the crime city of Georgia.
Capital.
Yeah, our gangs here they're it's beautiful. It's a beautiful city, isn't it? Yes, it is. So
Yes, it is painted with red quite often.
it is. It really is. It's crazy, but they moved out of the mall and they got themselves their own building, and I love to see that happening. They're actually pretty successful, and that's great to see. And I want to support them too because they're small, locally owned business. And right now you look at comic shops, you look at game stores, they're struggling. Well, these guys are flourishing, so they're doing something right. They're doing something right. They have to be, right?
Absolutely.
And that's something.
And
That's something I have in my area. What do y'all have around y'all that y'all would go to?
we have a place in Montgomery called, I think it's called Visions. Now, I've never been, but I think it's a gamer bar, like gaming bar, similar to that. I don't know how well they are doing as far as business goes, but this is something I wanted to comment on as well. These nerd culture isn't as popular as it once was, as opposed to, because you look at all the different cultures nowadays, it is definitely in the minority of pop culture.
I might have to jump on there and say I might disagree because if you what are you considering nerd and geek culture? What are you considering that? What would fall into that category?
So I would include comic books in that. Now, while comic book collectors and things are definitely a big deal, actively reading, knowing, having these comic books is not a common thing, at least not around here, or at least in the South it's not. So I might say this idea is limited to the South because you think about it, right? And I don't like to harp on this all the time, but the Satanic Panic is still, it's not big, but it is still around.
I agree.
It comes to these certain things. So D&D is still kind of frowned upon in some communities in the South.
Yes.
And just with D&D comes that's a big part of nerd culture,
comes
as
great
well as comic
responsibility
books and things like that. So it's hard to describe what I'm trying to say. I'm saying in our area, because our areas are obviously the most important because that's where we are and that's what we experience. This kind of nerd culture really isn't a big thing. It's more of like, if I go to my neighbor's house and then I go to my neighbor's house, more than likely you're going to find some country motherfuckers that just listen to country music all the time and just they won't know anything about nerd culture. It's very hard to find fellow people who enjoy this type of stuff. That's the best way to describe it.
The thing I feel is that there's a point we're missing here, and it's that what someone might have considered nerd culture, X amount of years ago, it might seem like it's falling out of popularity, when in actuality, it's just becoming less associated with the negative connotation of it being nerdy, like D&D, for example. I think that because of Critical Role and other, media forms that are showing the world D&D, it's becoming less of a, oh, you play it because you're a nerd. It's becoming a, oh, you play that because you enjoy that type of atmosphere and social gathering and gaming in general. You know,
Okay.
I feel like it's expanded its audience such that it's not necessarily nerdy anymore.
Yeah, I hadn't
Also,
thought of it that way.
think about video games.
I agree.
Video games used to be nerdy.
Yeah.
But now you have people that, you know, are varsity athletes and people that are not associated with any other games other than 2K or, you know, baseball or just any various sports related game. They're still playing a video game.
Yep.
It might not be, you know, Skyrim, but because they play those video games, they're inside the bubble of video games, which makes it such that they might
It's
branch
accepted.
out and start to play those other games that beforehand they might not have.
I see what you, because I didn't think of it that way, but I think the way I could describe it then is it's becoming a lot more widely accepted,
Yeah.
and it's not a subsect anymore. It's a just accepted thing now. So that makes sense. That makes sense to me.
I think where the nerdiness comes into it is the people like me and you and other people that we play games with. It's not that they play games, but it's that they get very involved with the games themselves and install mods and play indie games and games that are not necessarily as popular. I think that's where the most nerdiness of it, you know, falls into.
I think what it really means now to be a geek or a nerd or stuff like this isn't when it's just like something to do in your pastime, but when it's actually a hobby. It's our hobby. I mean, really think about it, isn't it? Like all this stuff we do almost daily. And so it becomes a hobby, while as opposed to somebody else who's like, well, I got a couple days off work, I'm going to play some Destiny 2 or something. It's just something they do on an occasion, and they might consider themselves a gamer, and they might not, because like, well, I game sometimes, you know. But then you have people like us who, you know, on the daily, we're into this. We go as far down the rabbit hole as we can on topics, you know, because we love it.
Yeah.
You know, and we engross and we surround ourselves around it. You know, that is geek culture and that nerd mentality, and I love it. I mean, I've been doing this since I was a kid. I've been engrossed in this world since, you know, I can remember, and I don't regret it at all. The people in this community and the community that I surround myself with are so welcoming, and they're actually just more positive than I think people on Twitter and online make it out to be. They make it sound like it's some crazy freaking war zone, but I mean, it's not at all.
What Cap, what do you think? Well, like, how would you define nerd culture as being, at least in what you've experienced? Oh, the Crypt Keeper's dying.
So, guys, real quick, because we didn't say this earlier, Cap is sick. He's been dealing with something. He's got some funk going on. So forgive his voice. He's dealing with some emotional stuff right now.
As far as nerd culture goes, I feel as though we've reached a point to where nerd culture in itself is hard to define, as it's changed so much and it's become so mainstream. Like, how far do you have to get in until like you're not there anymore, right? If you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But everywhere I've been, it's been pretty good. Of course, there's always going to be annoying people wherever you go. People who are either too extreme or too into it, or who refuse to understand or refuse to learn. But most of the time, it's pretty good. You just got to be careful about who you talk to and where you go.
Oh yeah.
Well,
and
I
think
do want to. No, you go first.
Yeah, I just want to say this real quick on Cap's thing, but I think he speaks with a lot of experience on that because he runs servers like that. They're pretty big too. He has got a pretty big D&D base server for anybody who doesn't know that. So he.
Whoa. I'm the co-captain.
Yeah, you're the enforcer, but I just want to say that y'all definitely know about that. Especially Cap, but I just know y'all both are very familiar with the toxic side of those people who do they forget to put a filter on themselves a bit sometimes.
Yeah,
we've had to kick a few people out in the past.
Yeah,
and it's never an easy thing to do. I hate removing people from a hobby that I like so much.
Yeah,
but also when you cause so many issues so frequently, sometimes you just gotta remove that element yourself.
Yeah,
I know that element is going somewhere else. So somebody else is just gonna have to deal with what you get rid of.
Exactly.
I remember y'all talking
I
about
don't have
somebody.
a problem with it.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with it because it's like, yeah, you were kicking them out of the hobby that they also enjoy, but it's if you can't stop being toxic or you can't stop being just a douchebag, then we don't want you around. And if more than likely it's going to happen to you if you go somewhere else. So really, you need to learn from your mistakes and stop being a douchebag.
Yeah, actually, who was that guy who kept starting stuff in the server?
DJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all had to
I was
boot
gonna
him.
try not to say his name, but yeah.
Zach doesn't give a damn.
I don't give a fuck. I mean, obviously we're not going to harp on it, but I mean, yeah, we had to remove him, and it is what it is.
Yeah,
but
then
there's nothing we can do about it. That's totally up to him to change his ways.
Yeah.
Hey, there's also the guy we had to remove who was harassing DJ.
Yes.
What?
That was an interesting can of worms as well.
Yeah.
Y'all gonna have to tell me about that one later if y'all don't want. If of course y'all don't feel comfortable talking about it.
That's a topic for not podcast.
Yeah. That might get us beamed as
TOS. But I want to kind of go back to nerd culture for a second, and talk about my grandma for a second because this is kind of fresh on my mind because I visited my grandma today. I visited where she was buried and talked with her for a little bit, and it reminded me of my grandma lived through the Satanic Panic, and she was a very big Christian woman. She believed heavily in Jesus and the Old Testament and all that stuff. And when I told her I was playing D&D, she got really, she didn't get upset, but she got concerned because she was like, well, it's about worshiping demons and this, that, and the other. And I went through and I sat down with her and explained, because she's never had anybody explain it to her, because nobody she's ever known has really played it, or if they did, they didn't explain it. So I went through and explained it with her, and I said, if anything, Grandma, it's about getting rid of those evil forces that exist in the world. And I gave her an example. And at that time, I was playing Balgrim and Galazan Drake, and I explained that one of the Galazan, I obviously didn't give the name, so it didn't confuse her, but I was like, one of my characters that I play is a cleric. And I said, if I were to equate a cleric to somebody, it would be a pastor or a preacher. And she was like, so he's a holy man? And I was like, yes, absolutely. He has been blessed by a god to have these holy powers. And he goes around and he fights for what he believes is right, and he fights for his god. Mm-hmm. And she and when I explained it that way, she goes, oh, okay. And I was like, now don't get me wrong, there are some characters out there that can summon demons and that can do all this stuff, but it's strictly, and I obviously didn't say, oh, they can actually do evil acts, but it was strictly for the purposes of using them for a greater good.
Yeah, you were explaining to her the different facets to the game.
Because... Yeah, and once I explained, like I said, explained the cleric aspect of things, it was almost like a light switch flipped. Because she was like, oh, he's playing somebody with these holy powers that are getting rid of evil, that are banishing evil, that are getting rid of these people who do bad things. And obviously that's not always the case. You do have evil campaigns and stuff like that. But
yes, but
what Grandma didn't know didn't hurt her. So
yeah, exactly. And it's not always the case. Yeah, anybody can do that with anything. I agree.
Exactly,
yeah.
But it definitely changed her outlook on how D&D was played and how she looked at D&D, because then she began looking at it as, this is something good that I can participate in, that I enjoy as a hobby, and it's not including summoning demons or worshiping demons.
Yep.
And so it's very much, it changed her outlook on it. Which is, I wasn't trying to change her mind about anything. I was still going to play D&D whether she liked it or not. But it definitely changed her mind on it, which I thought kind of put her mind at ease of being concerned by me playing D&D.
Well, y'all know I'm a Christian. I mean, I'm open about that. There's no reason to hide it. I'm a Christian. I've always been, and I still am to this day. And I'm a huge fan of fantasy, D&D, and all of that. I love all of it. I love the storytelling aspect of all of that, and that's always been my hook. That's been my facet. Same thing with games. I love a game that's got a good story, a good narrative. Sure. Sometimes multiplayer makes the game. But to me, really, it's, campaign. I'm one of those guys. I will play the multiplayer. Sure, absolutely. But to actually make me say these people did a damn good job with this campaign, it was a deep story, and it was still fun to play. That sells me on things. But I don't know. I think, of course, everybody has their own thing they look for when they play games. Me being, I love the story. Some other people, they care more about the multiplayer.
Uh-huh.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's ever anything wrong with that. Everybody has different aspects and facets that they look for. Cap, we were talking about this earlier and we kind of got sidetracked, but what do you have around you that you might be able to go to and, check out or actually go to and stream from for the podcast?
You mean like stores or something?
Yeah, so hobby stores and stuff like that, man.
So the only hobby store I have here is called 4K, and it's a Warhammer store. I used to have two ones that I absolutely love. One of them was called Mind Takers. One moment.
Yeah, man.
There we go. And what they did was they had a bunch of video game consoles set up. Every video game console that they ever made. From the fucking, the most modern ones they had at the time, all the way down to, the Commodore 64. And everything in between.
Boy, tell me they had a Jaguar.
The console in the store, play it, talk to people, play card games. Unfortunately, the owner went crazy and started randomly banning people because people suspected him of weighing packs and then picking out the good ones and then putting them back on the shelf.
That's one of my buddies did that. That's how we got all those super rares and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And since he was the owner, not only could you not really prove it, because he's obviously doing it behind store shelves, but he got angry and he started banning people left and right. Anybody he didn't like, and they ended up going out of business pretty quickly after that. Because people lost their respect.
Yep.
And then there's another place I went to that I absolutely loved that was D&D based. That's where I did my first IRL games. But then that place shut down because the owner got hit by a car.
Good God.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I just got to say, Cap's got some wild stories, but that's what happens when you live in Florida.
Speaking of Cap, do we have any update on the cult?
No, as I've been incredibly sick, I have not talked to her.
Yeah.
I also need $125 in order to join, as it were.
We can do that. And
We
she
got a
will
bankroll, Cap.
Yeah, she will officially make you a
love
psychic.
I'm a bang the psychic. It's gonna happen.
Yeah. You're going to have a whole graduation ceremony and you'll get a diploma. You're a wizard. You're a wizard, Cap.
I can transcend into the fifth dimension.
You're a wizard, Harry.
But what if she really teaches me magic? But I just become the next Aleister Crowley.
The problem with that is, Cap, is I think your autism would block your magical powers.
I think you're wrong. I think that would enhance it.
He's like,
Dude,
I think my imaginary autism would enhance it.
I gotta tell you a story, all right? Talking about autism, and this is totally unrelated to games, but this is a very funny story. So my baby brother, Seth, he is autistic. He's a great brother. Love him to death. He takes after me a lot.
He's a genius.
He is incredibly smart, but this story doesn't necessarily involve Seth as much as it does one of my buddies. So one of my buddies, hold on, I'm sorry, my dad is calling me. I need to text. I forgot to call him and tell him I made it home.
Oh man, yeah.
Whoops.
Oh, Zach's dead somewhere.
Apparently.
He got caught up in Albany.
Anyways, one of my buddies had dropped acid one night, right?
Uh-huh.
And he was talking with Seth, and whenever you talk to Seth, sometimes it's hard to understand what he may be talking about or what he's doing or this, that, and the other.
Mm-hmm.
But when this guy was on acid and he was talking with Seth, he said he felt like it was almost as if everything had made sense and he was living in the same dimension that Seth was living, and that everything Seth talked about, described, was showing him, was playing, whatever, just made 100% perfect sense. So we all theorized that Seth is just always tripping acid without taking it, and he has become the master of that realm.
He is transcended.
So
acid
that being
gives you
said-
temporary autism.
with that being said, acid gives you temporary autism, as well as Cap may actually have magical powers.
So, fun story I have from when I was younger. I know this is probably some kind of dream I had, but I remember this in perfect detail. I was swinging on the swing set, and I had my babysitter over, and she was looking through her car for her coat, and I jumped off the height of the swing set, and I went way too high, and when I got to the peak, I stopped, and I was just floating there. So I started calling for my babysitter, and she's like, "I'll look in a minute." I was like, no, I was like, "I'm in trouble. I'm going to die." And then I was like, "I want to get down," so I slowly floated down to the ground. And so when I was younger, I was convinced that I actually had magic, and I would constantly jump off shit to try and fly.
Oh,
Cap,
God,
I just
Cap.
want to know: did the music, the generic ascended music play whenever you were floating there?
No, I didn't hear any music.
No, I want to know,
Oh.
Cap. What was the biggest thing you jumped off of to try to fly?
My roof.
Oh my God! Cap.
I jumped out of trees. I jumped off the porch. I jumped off the roof.
Oh,
I
Jesus!
need to know, Cap. Was it like the scene from Hellbenders where Jesus was trying to take Zach away and he was just pulling you up into the sky, just trying to rapture you?
Yes. Very similar.
It's time to go, my son. No, Santa, what are you doing?
Get off me.
Ah!
Jesus Christ!
Oh,
But that's a very specific memory I have from when I was younger. And I swear to God I can fly.
You know what that reminds me of?
What was that?
It was like a couple years ago, maybe, or maybe like a year. It wasn't super long ago, right? And I still don't believe in ghosts or anything. I just don't. Like, I think it would be really cool if they existed, like
Yeah.
real neato, just cool. But I don't believe in ghosts.
Okay.
However, there was one point in time I was laying on my bed. It was like the afternoon. I was a little tired for some reason. And right before I was about to like fall asleep, right? Like in that microsecond, something whispered in my ear right up against it such that I could feel the air coming off of its voice for me to wake up. It was like a little girl's voice.
Ooh.
And I was like, huh, that was pretty strange.
Yeah.
Might as well go about my day, though.
Did you like do research into your house and like did you find out like the
No.
terrifying backstory? You know, 3 little
Nah,
children
I
were
just-
drowned by.
I just accepted it as it happened. I was like, well, I guess it's not time for me to go to sleep.
guess it's not time for me to die.
Just wake up.
My-
Damn it!
my
What do you want?
explanation- My explanation is that, man, the brain is wild. Because I've had sleep paralysis before.
Me too. I have.
And
That's terrifying.
I've felt something breathing. I've felt something breathing on me and standing on my chest.
Yeah, my
But I
sleep.
was like, this isn't real, so I have no problem with this.
I had to look that up to figure out what that was, and Thing is years passed by, and I swear I had like some alien encounter or some shit because I didn't know what happened. I was young, and it was sleep paralysis. I was in San Antonio visiting family. I'm laying on the couch, lights on in the living room, ceiling fans going, and I'm laying there, and I just cannot move. You know, my eyes can like wiggle around, but I cannot move, and I'm telling myself to move. And I remember just panicking because my body wouldn't move, and I just swore that there was somebody over in a corner watching me, and I couldn't see them. It was just like a shadow over there because I couldn't fully look, and it was like it was the most surreal feeling, but I was wide awake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then finally, when I moved, I was almost like in tears because of the panic that had like welled up in my chest because I couldn't move. And I later found out it's like coming out of REM state sleep way too fast. And it causes sleep paralysis. Now, hold on, because for people who don't know, our boy Zach here is a sleep tech.
Yeah, now he thinks he knows everything about everybody's sleep.
I do. I know everything.
Yeah,
but
so
I don't believe that because it helps him sleep at night.
Okay.
Nice. Good one, Lane.
Generally, that's when most of your sleep paralysis happens, and it's generally caused because obviously your REM period is when your brain is repairing itself. It doesn't fully shut off, but it's very much your deepest sleep because your brain is working more on repairing itself, dedicating things to memory, that sort of thing. And coming out of it really fast isn't necessarily a thing because people have arousals out of REM all of the time, and it's just you just wake up out of it. It just is what it is. But generally, if I remember correctly, it is referring to the fact that your brain is still more focused on repairing itself while you are actively conscious of what's going on around you. And so your brain isn't actively realizing this thing should not be real when it's filing all these things away and healing. So it's like it can't focus its attention on the fact that this shadow demon or whatever isn't real. And so it sticks there for a while your body is still asleep. Your body's not actually fully paralyzed, but your brain isn't able to move itself.
Yeah.
It's not that your brain is like, this isn't real. That's for you to decide in the midst of sleep paralysis, just like I did. I decided for myself that this isn't real, so therefore I'm just going to sit it out.
I'm just going to sit it out and just stare at it.
I remember telling myself that it wasn't real, but like it was one of those things where you're like, but it could be. Oh my God, it might be real.
It's a subconscious reaction to the fact that when you're seeing it, there is still what if it could be real when your brain is just like, nah, it can't be real. Let me keep on feeling.
I think the difference between me and Drake's case here, both of our sleep paralysis, right, is that his happened when he was much, much, much younger.
Yes.
Mine happened when I was in high school, I think. So I had already heard of sleep paralysis.
You could rationalize it.
And I already knew, because I was older, that, hey, this isn't real. Pretty neat, though. So I'm just going to let whatever imaginary thing is breathing on my face and standing on my bed to know what it's doing. And I'll eventually, fully wake up and just be able to go back to sleep.
So, if it was breathing on your face, tell me at least it did kiss your neck, right?
Sadly, it did not go for the neck. That's one of my spots.
If it missed opportunity.
Further,
nibble on the little earlobe.
Yeah, just
sadly, it did not go for the full-on horizontal monster dance action that I would have liked. But
I had sleep paralysis once.
Really?
It was quite fun. So what happened was I woke up and my head was sort of turned, and I saw somebody walk out of my closet holding a bucket of water, and they slowly went over to my window and then stepped out of my window. Then a woman who leaned over me and went, "Baby, you gotta get up. You're gonna be late." And I was like, "What the fuck?"
Cap thinks that was sleep paralysis, but that actually happened to him.
Yeah, that's just because you live in Florida. That's not sleep paralysis.
That's just Florida.
You're such a crackhead in your closet with a bucket of water.
I had an experience not too long ago, I'd say a month or two ago, that the only way I could describe it would be auditory sleep paralysis. And what it was is I wasn't hallucinating anything like you normally would with sleep paralysis. What I was doing was I was watching, like I'll go to sleep and YouTube will be playing in the background, but I had woken up to the point to where I could hear what was being played on my phone. And it was the Walton Files, which I know you guys are familiar with because I was telling you about it, and you know how much it creeps me out because of the sound design behind it.
Oh yes, sleep to that, Zach.
It was
someone that is weak of the heart for things that are scary.
I didn't fall asleep to it. It autoplayed to that.
Oh, okay.
So it's playing this, right? It's auto-playing this, and it's in one of the really bad parts that really creeps me out. That just makes my skin crawl even when I'm watching it actively. Yeah. And I was laying there, eyes closed, but I'm hearing this go on, and I can't move myself to fully wake up and turn that shit off because it's freaking me out.
So, that's pretty freaky, man. I just, let's see, we've been going now. We've been talking for almost 2 hours. I think it's about an hour and 40 we've been
running. Hour and a half.
Hour and 42, roughly, is how long the stream's been going. Yeah, an hour and a half I'll be talking. Let's talk real quick before we start wrapping up here. How was everybody's Halloween? That's what I want to know.
Oh, you should know, Drake.
I shouldn't I? But I think some people might have a hard time remembering that night. Who would those people be?
You were just as drunk as us.
I was one of the most responsible people there.
Lane
he's
was
not saying that sarcastically.
Lane was a freaking angel. He was like watching us, and like,
was.
In all fairness, I did not get like wasted till I like got home to the house where everything was safe.
Oh.
But
Cap and myself were absolutely gone.
That was hilarious. Cap was.
We ran a bottle of vodka together.
Oh,
so here's the thing: we both killed an entire bottle of Grey Goose. We both had some of that Chianti wine that you had, Drake. I don't know if you had any, Cap, but I know I had some of the Jack.
I had some bourbon. Yeah,
you had some of the bourbon, and myself, and like the last thing that I can clearly remember was Cap on the dance floor swinging two lightsabers around like they're giant glow sticks, and they had to get taken. Yes, it was. That's why I'm saying it's bad, because that's the clearest thing I remember.
Yes.
And then they had to take it away from you. But that's the thing. I don't even remember them taking it away from you. It was literally, I remember that and then drunk.
I remember that because I was the one to look over there and say, he looks like he's having fun. And then I said, I think someone needs to get those from him before he hits somebody.
Yeah, I think your wife came over and was like, all right, you're going to hit somebody. And I said, oh, no, I don't want that. So I gave them to her.
Yes.
So, I do remember, there's a couple things that I remember about this night that are very important. Cap absolutely loved the grass, and he kept falling down into the grass because it was soft.
I would physically jump into it. I remember.
Lane became like his caretaker through part of that night.
And mine.
Yes.
I remember.
I was the caretaker.
I remember, Drake, I don't know if you remember this or if Caitlin told you about this, but I remember telling Caitlin, I'm like, you and Drake need to make me a little niece or nephew.
I remember that because Caitlin told me. I wasn't there. I was too busy dancing to some Michael Jackson. So.
But I was like, because she was like, you should probably go tell Drake, and I just swung my head over to where you were standing, and I'm like, no, he's as drunk as us. He won't remember. And then I remember that you guys had kept it a secret. The party was actually a wedding.
Yes.
And I felt extremely guilty for getting that drunk at a wedding.
You apologized when you got back to the house and you went to the guest room and you just flopped down on the bed. And like in the dark, I went in there to check on you. And you were like, I'm so sorry, man. I'm so sorry. I didn't know it was a wedding. And I was like, you weren't supposed to, dude. Don't feel bad. You're a party. Everyone had fun. They loved it. And you're like, but it's so bad. It was a wedding. And I was like, no, dude, stop. I
remember I stumbled over, threw my arm around Miss Kim, which is Drake's mom. That she was the one getting married. And I threw my arm around her and I said, I'm so sorry for getting drunk at your wedding. I didn't know it was a wedding. And she was just like, no, it was a party to begin with. You know, that's totally fine. I still feel guilty about that.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Um,
But hopefully everybody had fun. I think that's the big thing.
oh yeah.
And
Um,
apparently after we left, like a lot more people showed up, and I think they were pushing like 60, 70 something people there.
so Cap, we got incredibly drunk way too early.
Yeah, I think we went too hard too fast.
Y'all did. Apparently we weren't there. So here's some stuff that happened afterwards. There was a guy fell out, a guy I knew, but he was getting like he was saying some stuff he should not be saying, and he was really drunk, and he fell out and hit his head over in the graveyard. So the party was set up. Yeah, so the party was set up for people who don't know. They had a beautiful cemetery with all kinds of crazy stuff. They spent thousands of dollars to get all this made. It had an amazing scarecrow that was maybe 15 foot tall. And a bunch of bales of hay in one area. There's a whole bunch of different areas.
Throne.
Yeah, there's like a little slaughter shop
Cool.
like on the way inside. There were so much things going on. Well, this guy, got super wasted, was saying a bunch of stuff he shouldn't be saying, and he fell out, and he had pissed everybody off in the party. Everybody went over there to check to make sure he wasn't dead because he just stopped moving when he fell down and hit his head. And apparently he was bleeding too, so they're like, oh shit. So they go over there and check on him. Then Robert, my sister's fiance, comes up, and they're like, hey, whatever his name is, like, are you okay? And he wasn't responding. And Robert been drinking, but everyone at the time was pissed and was like, hold on a second. He's like, I've got this. He leans down over him and just starts slapping the shit out of him, just forward and back, just slapping the piss out of this guy. And they said like 10 slaps, like 10 good slaps, and then his eyes, he flutters awake, and he looks up and he's like, I'm pissed. And he's like, are you okay? He's like, I'm pissed because you just slapped me. And then Aaron leans down and he's like, motherfucker, he just saved your life.
He just woke you up from death. That man resurrected you through slapping.
Men really had fucking healing hands.
The slap fibrillators.
The slap defibrillator.
But we missed some good stuff. There was some stuff apparently that happened throughout the night that we missed, but it's okay. I'm not stressed. We all had fun, like I said. That's what matters, and I'm glad.
I don't even remember getting into the truck to leave.
You don't remember that?
No.
I remember almost everything. There's one gap in my memory that I have to find out about.
Yes, you tried to kiss Amani.
I need to find out if I actually did attempt.
Yeah. I just imagine, because Amani's so short, just imagine how intimidated she was when this 27-foot tall giant
autistic man.
Yeah, this 73-foot man.
Yeah, this guy who stands 75 feet comes up and attempts to make out with you. It must have been the most.
Imagine if this man standing at a whopping 81.3 feet.
I can't even imagine what it would be like to stand at 85 feet. I just can't.
I wouldn't know what to do.
No, me neither. But I think that's a good place to wrap it up. People guessing at how tall Cap actually is. So, guys, it was a good session. I want to say, though, some of the stuff that we talked about, we're going to have some links down in the bottom. TSR Hobbies site, I want to link that in the bottom later on, guys, so check back later. The Dungeon Hobby Shop Museum, where you can go and buy TSR merch and some other stuff they're going to be coming out with. I'm going to link that as well. Zach, I want you to send me that link as well for the mod. Fallout, I'm going to drop that. Any other things we can think of? Also, guys, you can come check us out on the Discord. We officially have the Session Zero podcast Discord made. Y'all can come reach out to us on there. You can find it on the channel. Hey, guys, it was a great chat. Great seeing everybody again. So, I guess that's it if no one else has anything.
I think I'm all good.
If anybody wants to send me money so I can join a cult, all donations are accepted.
Yes, if anybody has cult money, we would love to have it. But other than that, guys, until next time, guys, later, peace out.
See you later.
Sayonara.
Started as a whisper, message from a new world.